I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll move on to the approval of minutes for the regular governing board meeting on February 10th, 2026 as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Buster and Ms. Anderson. If there's no comments or questions, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries. We'll move on to our next section, general functions, and start with staff, student, and community recognitions. Mr. Cruz.
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. We don't have any special announcements this evening, but we do have a few recognitions. First up is Ms. Julia Kaiser, followed by Ms. Rebecca Marsh. I know, we're getting efficient.
Good evening, President Pratt, Mr. Cruz, members of the board. I want to recognize the Burton family, along with Raytheon, Rincon Vista Landscaping, and PMF Suspension. They donated every year. Christina Laborin does a project on campus with her classes, her ELP classes, and this year they transformed the 8th grade courtyard. Those companies and families donated all the money and all the labor to do that, and it's absolutely beautiful. A stone patio and artificial turf and a rock wall. And that is, Ms. Laborin's calling it her senior exit project because she's retiring at the end of the year. So recognizing those companies that donated and also the students and Ms. Laborin for the transformation that happened. I also want to recognize we have a couple long-term subs on campus. April Sample and Dr. Karina Rafi is on our campus. They kind of filled in 2 tough spots for us and are fantastic with our students, and they're coming to all of the collaboration and the professional development and doing a really good job getting us through this transition phase. And Dr. Naraki is, though she's been a doctor for years, she now wants to be a middle school teacher, so getting in. And finally, I want to recognize our crossing guard and one of our Vale parents. Her name is Ashley Workman, and she started as a crossing guard for us a couple of months ago. And every day she gets to campus a little bit early and before clocking in the afternoons. She hasn't told anybody, but I've noticed what was happening and asked her what was going on. She has been going around doing a little low-key landscaping for us. So she's been weeding the flower beds and doing a little pruning. And she brings the river rock and makes little landscaping designs in the beds that don't have flowers. And she loves gardening and loves landscaping. And she's just slowly chipping away, making a real difference on campus. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kaiser. Ms. Marsh.
Good evening, President Pratt, Superintendent Cruz, members of the board. Vale Pride Day events were top notch this year. Thank you to all the people in this room that helped pull that off. Tonight, I'd like to recognize our Rookie of the Year, Sherry Betts, Support Staff of the Year, Carlene Talley, and Teacher of the Year, Sally Smith-Dryden. Their impact on campus and our community is outstanding. I'd also like to recognize our orchestra teacher, Janae Evans, choir teacher, Samantha Feldman, and band teacher, Kathleen Zubel, for preparing our students so beautifully to perform at the fairgrounds. Stacy Cousins, our student achievement teacher, coordinated Dedrick Sky's academic Jeopardy efforts alongside our social studies teachers to identify participating students. Her communication with students and teachers and families helped the morning run super smoothly. Our students worked hard and had fun throughout the process. Also, Dedrick Sky students, Kaylee Clore, Ethan Ullman, Tyler Messina, Stephen Zubel, alternate Joshua Anderson, and our phenomenal math teacher, Edsel Rojas. They worked through many challenging problems in preparation for the math bowl, and I don't know about all of you, but I cannot solve all of them. I tried, and it's just not happening, not anymore anyway. Mr. Rojas, he knew that it was a special group. He'd been talking about it all quarter, and they were able to earn first place this year. Our Chinese immersion students and teacher Ying Yang Gu did a beautiful job today hosting the 2026 Lunar New Year Expo, offering engaging cultural activities for staff and students. If my count is correct, nearly 500 students were able to attend today. It was just a great opportunity for our Chinese language learners to showcase the program, and just a wonderful enrichment opportunity for all the students that were able to attend. Last, I'd like to thank our health aides, Rebecca Cash and Emma Merrill, for the deep care and dedication they provide students with significant medical needs, and sometimes just kids that aren't feeling well. During the cold and flu season, they can see anywhere from 75 to 116 students in one single day. And sometimes it's during school hours, and sometimes it's during after school activities and games. They just hang around because they also have connected with the kids and want to watch them participate in sports and different activities. We're just super fortunate for the calm environment that they can maintain in the health office while providing immediate care, communication to families, healthcare providers, and keeping clean records. So we're super lucky to have them at Desert Sky. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Marsh. Have a few district-wide recognitions I'd like to acknowledge. First is we received a word from the Arizona Education Foundation about A+ designations, and it is official. Antano is again an A+ designated school. And I think that it is the only alternative high school that has received such a designation. And the amazing thing about that is that this is happened both under Ms. Monica Wright's leadership and now under Mr. Isaac Walcomb's leadership. So just outstanding for that community and a testament to the work that they're doing there. And then Copper Ridge Elementary School, even though it's in its 10th year, this is its first time they went for A+, and they received the A+ designation. And so Ms. Krista Fields and her team, it's just a wonderful honor for them. In both, just I'll say it, we talk a lot about the A+ designation. There's so many different ways to rate a school or to determine quality of the school. And all of them have some level of validity to them, but few are all encompassing. What I would say about the AEF A+ rating is that it is the most comprehensive of the ratings, because you have to complete a very rigorous application process and talk about student achievement, the culture, the programs that you have in place. They have to meet a certain threshold to even rate a visit. And then once they visit, you send a team to verify if in fact that is happening on your campus. If it is not, then you don't receive the rating. And if it is, then you do. So that's just a real testament to the teams at those schools to do that. So congratulations to them. Also, individual note, Miss Debbie Brisson from Community Programs, she's an instructional coach. She was honored by the United Way as a Literacy Champion Award finalist late last week. So congratulations to Debbie. And then sticking with community programs, all of our Vail School District programs and preschools, including VIP. So any preschool program that we have achieved either a 4 or 5-star rating by Quality First. Of the 12 programs I think we have total, it's pretty amazing. No other school district can make that claim. So the commercial childcare groups are significantly below that level. So when you're looking for high quality childcare in our community, community programs, childcare, and VIP childcare lead the way. And lastly, I know this is an agenda item. We wanted to put it on as an inform item just around Vail Pride Day, but I would be remiss if I didn't put it in the recognitions and acknowledgements too. It was an incredibly successful Vail Pride Day. And that doesn't happen without people stepping forward to make it so. So I just want to acknowledge the Vail Pride Day Committee, who meets for 6 months to make that happen. And under the leadership of Miss Peggy Benson and Heather Stow, and others to make it go. So I know lots of people read the recognitions and don't dive into the rest of the board packet, but anyone step forward to make Vail Pride Day happen, to all of the people who made Math Bowl and Academic Jeopardy and the art programs and the music programs and the special performances and the parade happen. Thank you. So that's all we have for staff student community recognitions today.
Thank you. Our next item is call to the public. At this time, we do have a request to speak to the board on an item not on tonight's agenda. Mr. Mark Tate, he has checked the box for community member, but I don't think that really encompasses who Mark Tate is. And I'm sure, do I have to read this, or you've done this quite a few times? We just respectfully ask for you to stay within 3 minutes.
I got it. I'll try. President Pratt, Superintendent Caruth, and members of the board. Just a couple things I wanted to kind of recognize as well happened over the last couple of weeks. My wife and I were fortunate enough to participate in the Feed My Starving Children program that was at Pantano Christian Church. We served lunch one day to hundreds of kids in a matter of minutes. And over the 4-day event, they managed to package 529,632 meals during the 4 days, included nearly 2,500 volunteers. And of those, many students came from 29 schools across the county. And 5 of those were Vail schools, Ocotillo Ridge, Acacia, Saguaro Creek, Empire, and Vail Academy and High School. And I'll attest that during the lunch period, it was the Vail students that were the best behaved, going for the pizza and the lemonade. Also wanted to, and I know there were, as Mr. Caruth has mentioned, many individuals participating in Vail Pride Day, but I want to take a moment to recognize Mr. Penland, the teacher at Micah Mountain High School and sponsor of the National Honor Society. We tried something new at Vail Pride Day with a food truck. We had one hidden in the back for the sponsors and for those working, so they wouldn't have to spend an hour waiting to order and then another 30 minutes to get the food. And so he provided NHS students to go around to the sponsors and community booths and offer to get them food. And only one community program person came up to me and said, "We're being scammed by teenagers who are trying to take our money to go buy food." But otherwise, the process worked well. The kids weren't real sure what to do, but I think that we've started something that should do a lot better next year. And then finally, last Wednesday, my wife and I and Mrs. Anderson had the pleasure of watching the Cienega Intermediate students present magic golden apples to the elementary schools in the Vail School District. That day, Sycamore students were there. And so I'm just very thankful for director and teacher Jessica Armistead, just for her love for the students and for drama and the love that you could see from the students back to her. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tate. Look at you. Great job. Our next item is acknowledgement of public request to speak. At this time, I don't see anybody here wishing to speak to the board. So we'll move on to correspondence and reports. And our first item is Superintendent's report. Mr. Caruth.
Thank you, President Pratt. No report this evening.
Okay, and our next item after that is board reports. Do any board members wish to make a report this evening? Ms. Tippett?
Thank you, Mrs. Pratt. Had the opportunity, of course, to attend Vail Pride Day. Just was there from start to finish, and just an amazing day. Really well attended by the community. Lots of engagement, lots of connecting, lots of conversation, lots of food trucks. That was delicious. Just really appreciate all of the effort that went into creating this opportunity to gather our community together and celebrate and show our pride in the children of our community and really give them a chance to shine and feel proud and show off whatever it was that they were doing that day, whether it was a choir performance or a band performance or a piece of art, a dance performance, or, you know, participate in a math bowl or what have you. Just, there's nothing else like it that I could point to that says, you know, it's like this. It's not like anything. It is its very own day. And it creates attention for our school district, for our community, for our children, engagement from civic leaders who we need engaged and invested in what we do and supportive of what we do. And just, it's a mountain of work, and I see it. But thank you to everybody who goes through the process to do that. And thank you for our coordinators who are here tonight, several of them anyway. And also very much enjoyed being at Volunteer Appreciation and connecting with the massive number of volunteers who serve our students in our schools, and celebrating with our staff that Teacher of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Support Staff of the Year, and just seeing tears in eyes as they go across the stage, and just feeling very incredibly honored that they were selected by their peers for this wonderful distinction, and by parents for this wonderful distinction. And just, it's worth the effort. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Tippett. Ms. Anderson.
Yeah, I just want to second what Mrs. Tippett said. I love Bell Pride Day. Thursday, I just love the volunteer appreciation event, and I love getting to see friends from all over the community. I was talking to a few, and we just talked about how we've served at different places, even if our kids aren't there, and just how we've gotten to know each other. And I've met people, and their kids weren't even going to my kids' school, and I got to meet them. And just the service and the love and the camaraderie, and just to be there together and see each other. And then Friday, just the same feeling being with the staff. I'm always so disappointed because I don't get to see hardly, I feel like, any of them. Like I can see out, and I don't even get to talk to so many, but I love that I did get to connect for a little bit with some that I don't always see, but just how grateful I am for our staff. And then Saturday, I love seeing the kids. I love seeing our community come together. The parade, seeing all these kids that are thrilled from preschool to high school. I think I really was amazed how many high schoolers were also in the parade. And it has really built, I think, the last few years, and just seeing community come together and just celebrate our families and students in our community. So thank you. Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, Mark, Heather, for all of that. All those who put so much into it. I, like Mark said, and I have to say, Mark, thank you for supporting kids. I can't tell you how many performances I show up to in our district at all of the schools, Oliver, and I see Mark and Lynette Tate. And so it was really cool to see this show put on for the elementary school kids. There were kids from Savano and Swarrow K8, Vale Academy, Sycamore, Copper Ridge, and Cottonwood. And my daughter was one of the ones performing. And so I was helping out as a mom also, but I feel like I have older kids now. And so the energy from those little ones, you never know quite what they're going to say in the audience to respond. And the play was done in a way that it broke the fourth wall. So they interacted, and these high school kids just loved these elementary school kids. And it was just so cool to see. I was like, I just loved being in the room with them and seeing the energy and the excitement. So I just want to second what Mr. Haight said to Jessica Armistead, how grateful I am for what she's doing. And then on Saturday, I hopped over to Micah Mountain and saw Lion King Jr. be done with quite a few kids from Micah, and then kids from Mesquite and Desert Sky and Rincon Vista and Sonita Valley that Anka, Michelle, and Rochelle Port had worked on. And I love seeing growth and programs started. And it was really fun there too, because you had kids of all ranges on that stage, and they're growing and they're learning together. And so that was beautiful. And then on Saturday as well, I got to attend at Centennial Hall. It was for the state FFA competition or conference, and Cienega has their club there, and to be in a room surrounded by all these students from all over the state in these blue jackets that I've learned that's what they wear, and sitting with the students from Cienega and just hearing them talk about just what they've worked on and what they're striving for, and it was just so cool. I love being with our kids and throughout our district, and so that was really cool. And so shout out to the ag teacher at Cienega High School, Sarah McNall, because I watch some of these programs, these clubs, and the hours and hours that teachers give for our students. And I have a senior this year, and I think I'm feeling it all these last moments, but I am so grateful for how they just pour in to our kids. And I see it this weekend was so apparent to me from so many teachers of how they pour into our students all the time. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Any other board members? Mr. King?
Oh, yeah, y'all took a lot of the words, especially for Vail Pride Day. So, but I wanted to, I was out there with all of you as well, all 3 days. So, and getting to see how all of that kind of transpired, with the volunteer lunch, and getting to see, other volunteers that, you see around, and then again with the staff and everything, because you do get to see them. And it's like Jen said, you're out there and you don't always get to catch up. And sometimes you see them in the back and you're racing to them, and then somebody else catches you, and it's just that connection. And then Saturday, it took me an hour and a half to get from like the northeast corner of Thurber Hall over to the other hall, just to make it to the outside. And just because of the communications and that community piece there. So, and my wife actually, she went with me that day, and she saw it kind of in a whole new light, and that led to very long, very cool, enriched discussions afterwards. And then I attended 2 renditions of The Lion King, Friday night and Sunday night. So I got to see the opening and the closing. And I got to see, some of the other kids that I've seen doing other things around the district. Last year, little TJ was one of the junior chef competitors. This year, he was young Simba on Sunday. So, and just seeing that kind of that growth and everything else. And I really do want to recognize Miss Rochelle Port, who said she was never going to cry. And yeah, it didn't happen. She didn't even make it through the opening scene. Miss Anka Michelle and Miss Andrea Black for leading that production, consisting of over 50 volunteers and students. I was going to try to put it all together in a picture, up there, and it just didn't work. But what I saw sold out crowds. I saw family, friends, fellow students all coming together to support each other. And it wasn't just the actors, the fine arts kids. It was the athletes coming in and being part of all of it. And talking with Anka and talking with Rochelle afterwards, it was the older kids took those younger kids and actually they were there, and they kind of took them under their wing and actually worked with them to help mold them and mentor them. Bless you, by the way. But kind of seeing that was actually kind of something you don't see anywhere else. So that was really kind of cool. Also attended a reality check lunch at Micah Mountain yesterday. So I was on Micah Mountain 3 days out of 4. So the only time I wasn't there was Saturday. So that was really good, hearing from various staff and everything else. And it really just kind of went every direction. So it was kind of cool to see. Also finished another book out of the Lit Review committee stuff. So Mr. Hurley, I've only got 4 left to go. So I'm working on those, making my way through it. And then I also attended a wedding reception for our amazing choir teacher from Desert Sky Middle School, now known as Miss Sam Villa. So I got pictures too, if you want to see. So I also participated in a Zoom meeting with ASBA on the new membership engagement committee today. So that'll be some interesting stuff coming up. And then heading to Phoenix tomorrow to attend the ASBA Financial Oversight Committee meeting. So, and that's my board report.
That sounds super. Any other board members? Mr. Bester?
First and foremost, I want to say it's always been the Vail way to help others. And so I want to extend a big thank you to our governing board and Mr. Caruth for lending their Vail and Southeast Tucson voices and experiences to the City of Tucson's Bloomberg Harvard Initiative. Your insights help shape the regional vision for growth and long-term economic prosperity. I'm also very grateful to Ms. Tippett and our Vail community leaders who joined the in-person collaborative to share thoughtful perspectives and on building a future where every family can thrive. So your stewardship and your leadership truly matters. So thank you very much. I'm going to pretty much repeat, but Vail Pride Day 2026, absolutely stellar. So huge thanks to Ms. Stowe, as well as Ms. Benson Runyon for just putting on a heck of a show for everyone. If it wasn't no dry eyes in the house, it was no dry eyes because everyone was laughing and singing and having just a phenomenal time. And again, these are uniquely ours and our communities. From our volunteer awards luncheon to our teachers, God bless you, and staff awards luncheon, and the crescendo second to none with an entire day dedicated to celebrating community. On Valentine's Day, no less, more than 15,000 people came together to celebrate the spirit and connection that makes Vail so incredibly special. I'm exceptionally humbled in our district reaching a milestone of having more volunteers than staff. That says everything about who we are, what we do, and as truly a community where education is a community effort. We don't just say those things, we live them each and every day. And it's not for us, it's for those kids, those students that will succeed us and carry on the traditions that we make today. What we do matters, and it's all about connections. With that, my sincere thanks to our immeasurably dedicated event organizers, generous sponsors, and every volunteer, educator, staff member, student, and family who made these Pride Days and events possible. Your service and commitment are the heartbeat of Vail. Also, I had the opportunity to join President Pratt, Ms. Tippett, Mr. King, and Mr. Caruth at the Pima County School Board and Superintendent Collaborative at Flowing Wells Community Learning Center to hear Dr. Jeffrey Nassy, the Chancellor of Pima Community College, share important updates on the college's investments and program enhancements that will strengthen opportunities for our current and future students. I also had the opportunity to meet with Mr. Caruth at Cottonwood Elementary for a reality check lunch, where I got the nifty shirt. Please, everybody, it's a collector's item, leave it alone. Where we had some from 4 incredibly caring and compassionate educators who poured their very hearts into working with their colleagues and creating meaningful outcomes for every student. Their dedication to their students, their school, and community is truly inspiring. Last but certainly not least, I, along with Mr. King and Mrs. King, attended a wonderful event at Michael Mountain High School and an outstanding performance of The Lion King. It was inspiring to see students of all ages deliver a seamless, joy-filled production with tremendous heart, effort, and energy. The cast and crew shined ever so brightly on and off the stage. And we were truly fortunate to have such passionate educators and talented students bringing this level of excellence to our community. And this is for Mrs. Port. The event was so good. I believe I overheard Mr. King singing to Mrs. King, Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. That's all I have for this evening. Mr. King was turning red, so I figured I'd leave him alone this time.
Thank you, Mr. Bester. I know a lot has been said about Vail Pride Day, but I know so much work has gone into it, so I don't want to miss being able to just say thank you to all those who put so much time and effort into such a wonderful 3 days. So thank you specifically to Miss Peggy Benson Runyon and Heather Stow, as well as their whole committee. I know that so many people worked on that so many hours. Mr. Tate, I'm looking at you as well. I loved those 3 days. I just think that there's nothing better. Just being able to honor our volunteers, to be able to honor our staff in such meaningful ways. And then on Saturday to be able to honor our students in the community with their families. My favorite thing about Vail Pride Day is being able to walk through the hall and see the students showing their parents their art. And it's just the cutest thing. They're just so proud of it. And the parents are excited to go see it. I know I had some teenage girls in my youth group that I work with at church that had art up, and I was excited to go and find their art. And to be able to look at all the displays. So many good things happening. I also want to recognize the NJROTC students who honestly just made us feel so honored. We got there for the parade on Saturday morning, and they were just so excited to be able to walk with us in the parade. So I just want to say thank you. I don't know many students who would be that happy about being up early in the morning to be able to walk with adults they don't know. And they were just so gracious, and it was an honor to walk with them. So thank you to them. I also attended the collaborative on Monday, the Pima County Collaborative. I'm grateful for the chance to be able to have an opportunity to discuss important items with other board members in Pima County and other school leaders, and especially to be able to hear this time from Pima Community College and the opportunities that they have there. I'm also grateful that they're listening and seem to be pivoting and adjusting things that maybe haven't worked in the past and are helping students with real opportunities. And then this last week on Wednesday, I went to the Micah Mountain soccer game. It was an amazing game, super fun to watch. And then I didn't leave my house from Thursday night to Monday. I was sick, so I did not get to go to Lion King or anything else fun. So I was sad to miss that, but I know it was a great event. So if there's no other comments or questions, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All items listed below are consent matters and will be considered by one motion at this time. There'll be no discussion of consent items. Any board member may remove an item from the consent agenda by request. All items not accepted and approved as part of the consent agenda will be considered individually. Do any board members wish to pull an item? Mr. Good.
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. It's recommended that the Vail School District Governing Board approve all items on the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. I'll accept a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as it's presented.
Seconded.
Mr. King and Mr. Buster, I'm saving space for you, Mr. Put, for the next one. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Not seeing any, the motion carries. Our next item, hold on, under old business is the 2026-27 returning teacher contracts. This is an action item, Mr. Good.
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. Sims,
Yes, thank you. President Pratt, Superintendent Caruth, members of the governing board. Administration recommends issuing returning teacher contracts on March 16th, 2026 for the 26-27 school year. According to Arizona State statute, eligible returning certified teachers, site-based instructional staff, and related service providers have 15 business days to accept or reject the employment contract, with the exception of school psychologists who are provided with 30 days. The new contracts will be issued at the 25-26 daily rate of pay if approved by the governing board. Administration will make a recommendation at a future board meeting if additional funding becomes available for the consideration of an additional cost of living adjustment or increase in salary. If an additional increase is This item was brought to the governing board as a study item on February 10th, 2026, and is provided as an action item tonight. I'll defer to Mr. Caruth for the recommendation, or if I can address any questions.
thank you, Mrs. Emsley. With that, I'll make the recommendation that the Vail School District Governing Board approve issuing returning teacher contracts as presented.
Thank you. Ms. Tippett, do I have a motion?
I move.
Yeah, thank you. Do I have a
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. King. Comments or questions? Ms. Tippett?
Can you remind me that those who are offered a contract, their performance evaluation is at a certain level and those who aren't?
Great.
Yes,
Yes, Mr. Pruitt?
thank you, as a rep, Mrs. Emsley.
President Pratt, Mr. Pruitt, and Ms. Tippett. All employees who are offered a contract have to have a highly effective or effective rating on their evaluation from 25-26.
Go ahead.
And when do they receive those evaluations? Like when are they notified? What?
Oh, that's a good question, Mr. Pruitt.
Mrs. Emsley?
Yes, President Pratt, Mr. Pruitt, Ms. Tippett. So evaluations are completed typically at the beginning of the school year in the first semester. It just depends on the schedule of the principal, but they're typically evaluated in the first semester. Any teachers who are on a short-term contract are also evaluated a second time. So non-continuing teachers are evaluated a second time, not short-term contract, I missed. Any non-continuing teachers are evaluated a second time. And those are typically completed in the beginning part of the second semester.
Can you define a non-continuing teacher if that's a teacher in the first 3 years?
Yes, that's correct. They have to have 3 continuous years of service with our district in order to be a continuing teacher.
Thank you. Mr. King, do you have?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for getting the contracts out so we could review what the language actually looks like. Because a lot of the information that you were just talking about is actually in the contract itself. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Any other comments or questions? Not seeing any. There's a motion on the table, so I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries.
Thank
you. Next item is the 26-27 Education Enrichment Plan guidelines, also an action item, Mr. Ruth.
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. Mr. Hurley.
President Pratt, members of the board, Mr. Kruth, we brought this to you last time, so I have just a couple quick updates, follow-ups from things you said. We can have a text limit on the input and how much can be allowed. And it's our current estimate that removing some of these things from the EEPs and putting them into the leadership packet is going to could potentially reduce our EEPs by about 100. So less people writing EEPs, but still finding ways to get funding and still have honor societies and yearbooks and those things, but they don't have to go through the hoops to get the funds. The only update I have.
With that, I'll go ahead and make the recommendation that the Vail School District Governing Board approve the 26-27 Education Enrichment Plan guidelines as presented.
Thank you. Do you have a motion? Motion. Ms. Anderson?
I will second.
Ms. Tippett? Comments or questions? Mr. Buster?
On behalf of the board, and I think I can be very honest, literal about this. Thank you. The fine tuning, the ability to still make sure that our students, our educators get that funding they need, but putting in those different brackets where they are more appropriate. It was the right thing to do efficiently, effectively, and yet we're not diminishing that piece of the puzzle, that vital programming that they need. I know it was a lot of work. And again, on behalf of the board, thank you.
President Pratt, members of the board, Mr. Kruth, the principals and our committee worked really hard to make sure there are so many positive things that come out of the EP. So many experiences that my kids, your kids have gotten to be a part of, things that people do because they're the right thing to do, but it's also really nice to be able to compensate them to do those things. So it's really nice to try to remove hurdles from people who are trying to do good things. Yes, I'm excited to do it.
Love that. Removing hurdles. Ms.
And I-
Tippett, did you have a comment?
I think this process will also be easier on the writing an EEP plan as well. And takes a whole group that no longer needs to write that plan because student council has the things that they need to accomplish and yearbook has the things that they need to accomplish and so forth. This just leaves the flexibility for some of those creative pieces and passions to come forward and that create excitement for students and allow us the time to really spend in those. I'm grateful for that. That with Fidelity, I have time to invest in each one of these plans.
Any other comments or questions? I know that this was studied also last board meeting, so I don't know that I could say it any better than Ed, just thank you. Thank you very much for all your work on this. So if there's no other comments or questions, then in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing, the motion carries. Thank you. Our next item is the ASBA policy advisories. This is 866 through 875. This is also an action item, Mr. Kruth.
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. This is part of the ongoing process of cleanup from our Arizona School Board Association's policy service in regards to language cleanup and subsequent collapsing oftentimes of some regulations, some policies and regulations to make them more streamlined. Substantively, there's no policy change related to how we operate and or how they're tied to statute and board rules and so forth. This policy group has to cover administrative functions, particular policy C in our policy manual. So we've studied this before, happy to answer any questions. But with that, go back to the recommendation that the Vail School District Governing Board approve the HBA policies 866 through 875 as presented.
Thank you. I'll accept a motion.
Motion to approve as presented.
Mr. Buster, do I have a second?
Thank you.
Second by Mr. King. Comments or questions? Ms. Tippett.
This one does have the note in there about the our choice in superintendent evaluation. It is that kind of automatic with our approval, or do we have to do something to like designate that?
Thank you, Mrs. Tippett, members of the board. Because that's a regulation, we can adjust that how we want to. So the actual approval has to do with the policy and not so much the regulation. Board approves policy and then we can adjust regulation. So as we discussed at the last board meeting, I think unless there's a will otherwise, we'll continue with the same evaluation tool that we had used for the superintendent over the last 7 years.
Thank you.
As long as
Any other comments or questions? Not seeing any, then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any, the motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to E, the 2027-28 students and staff calendars, also an action item. Mr. Kruth.
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. This is another item that was studied at the last board meeting. The 26-27 calendars were approved.
Sorry, I missed this, spoke. I skipped one. It's 26-27.
That's correct.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Yes.
Item D.
Yes.
The 26-27 calendars had been approved last year. They're actually being revised slightly to acknowledge no substantive day changes as far as start-stop times or where holidays fall, those kinds of things. But there is some adjustments on half days and when those half days are located. Happy to go through those again. In particular, at the high school level, it was moving from 3 half days for finals to 2, moving one of those half days out into the calendar a little bit further so that it can be utilized as a professional development day, and then adding a similar professional development day for the K-8 calendar. Again, happy to go through those specifics of that if you'd like. But that's what that is. And then the next item E, will be the 27-28 calendar, which is again, will be reflective of those same changes. So with that, I'll go ahead and make the recommendation that the governing board approve the revised 26-27 student and staff calendars as presented.
I'll accept a motion.
Motion to approve as presented.
We have Mr. Buster and then Ms. Tippett. Comments or questions? Ms. Anderson.
So on the high school calendar, you said they were taking the 2 half days and putting them as, where were they putting them?
Mr. Hurley, do you remember what the date was on they were moving one of the half, it was removing a half day from the high school calendar, correct?
Isn't it removing 2 half days?
it was, the current calendar has 3 half-days for finals at the close, and so they're removing one of those days.
One on each semester.
Adding it to an August.
Yeah, adding it to an August, yeah.
Half day.
So just provide,
Go ahead, Ms. Tippett.
it provides a little bit of alignment between, for a family that has younger kids and
The-
older kids.
Thank you. The intent was to look at when the Mrs. Peterson was on that committee too, when the intent of the committee, when they sat down and looked with principals and others, was, well, how do we provide quality professional development to our staff in a way that doesn't add significantly more half days to the calendar? Which it's just an acknowledgement that half days can also be disruptive to families. And so how are we doing that process, and when are those half days spaced out through the calendar? So if as an example, if you look at the 26-27 K-8 calendar, there's a half day in May now that has been added. And then there are 2 half days in August, and the thinking on both of those, there has historically been 1 half day in August, but we're getting school up and running at that point. And so with teams and making sure that the trainings are happening, and we're getting a whole lot of new staff oriented at the same time. So when are we providing that? So adding another half day in August, and then if you look between March and June, if there weren't that half day, there is no other day associated with when are you doing things, when are you planning, how are you looking at, kind of beginning planning for the next school year with, and it, like the K-8 people in particular, is looking at class rosters as they roll forward into the next year and planning. If you have a 4th grade team, how are you looking at that team as those kids go to 5th grade? How are those students distributed in an equitable way? Those kinds of things. What does that look like? That carries out across the grade levels. But that was the reasoning for the impetus for moving some of those half days around. So the K-8 calendar, in full transparency, we're actually adding a half day. At the high school calendar, we're not adding a half day. We're simply moving those half days around by taking, instead of having 3 half days at the end, close out of each semester, having 2.
Any other comments or questions?
And one other piece, I know there were some questions at the board table last time about, is there sufficient time for students to take finals closing out at the high school level with the removal of the additional half day? So we went back and asked all of our high school principals to revisit this topic with their site councils and with their teachers, which they did over the last 2 weeks, and came back universally a couple of things. One was, yes, they felt that strongly, that the number of finals that are given during the last week of school are significantly fewer than they used to be 5 and 10 years ago. As example, if you were taking an online college course, you're going to take that when you finish your college class. If you take an AP exam, as if you take an AP class and you're closing out that AP, you take that AP exam, when you take that serves as the final. And then there are other projects and things and other courses that are just due ahead of that final week. So we're not seeing the volume of the kinds of finals that we were seeing, I'll just say 10 years ago. So there isn't the need to do that. I did ask specifically for our high schools to look at what does that mean for a student who's taking 7 classes with a 0-hour class. And all of them said that they make sure that no more than 3 finals are given in any particular day, and that those that have 0-hour classes. The 0-hour finals are often given on the Monday and Tuesday of the 0-hour window and not during those half-day sections anyways. So I just wanted to close the loop on that question.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you taking that back to schools and site councils. Ms. Anderson?
So I appreciate that because I was the one that had the concerns and my kids' 0 hours did fall on the half days. So I don't know if that was just at my kids' school because their 0 hour finals were on those 3 half days. But that made it 3 finals on one day and then 2 on each of the other days. So I don't know what the other high schools are doing, but I appreciate that and just getting that information back. So. And actually just to add to that too, like my daughter was doing dual enrollment and that still is on those half days. So
Yes.
I just, it's just that balance. I think some of the high schools don't have as many dual enrollment, whereas Cienega does. And so I think I'm still looking at it from that perspective that it's still a lot. So.
I appreciate that there's more alignment between the high school and the K-8. I know they're not exact, but there is more alignment. I know that was a concern that we had heard. And then I absolutely love that we're doing a half day in May. I think that, first of all, that is kind of a big, between March and the end of May is a long stretch without any kind of half day already off. And then just being able to give sites some time to be able to do some of just a small portion of, I know, an enormous amount of work that they have to prepare for the next year, I think is a great opportunity for collaboration. So thank you for adding that in May. Do you have a question, comment, concern? No. So if there's no other comments, then I will call for the vote on item D, the 26-27 revised student and staff calendars. We already have a motion on the table. So I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries. Now we'll go on to E. This is the 27-28 student and staff calendars, also an action item. Mr. Cruz.
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. These calendars are in alignment with 26-27. The only differences are adjusting the start of the calendar relative to the adjustment of days as the calendar moves forward. Reflecting in this case the K-8 beginning on the 19th and the high school beginning on the 23rd of July, and then when our winter break, holiday break falls. Also, so it's just an adjustment of a day forward. Otherwise, the half days are the same. I do want to note, and actually in this item and the other one, you'll notice that they're K-8 and high school calendars. When going through this, realizing that we probably need a separate preschool calendar relative to that. So we'll be bringing a preschool calendar forward between Mrs. Bates and community programs, and looking with our Vail Inclusive Preschool, which is the only calendar that we need to have approved for governing board purpose for the ability to count the days for, because we receive reimbursement for those students that participate with IEPs in that program. So we need to report that to the state, but it's going to be very close. We're realizing there were some differences, and it was just better to uncouple them. Just wanted to note that this is K-8 and high school for the 27-28 school year. Go ahead and read the recommendation. I can find it quickly. It's recommended that the Vail School District Governing Board approve the 2027-2028 student and staff calendars as presented.
Thank you. Can I have a motion? Ms. Tippett.
Second.
Mr. King, comments or questions? Ms. Tippett.
I just think that's an important distinction that you made regarding our pre-K program calendar, and just us encompassing that we are a pre-K through 12 district.
Thank you for that reminder. Ms. Tippett. Any, Ms. King? Oh, no, sorry. Okay, if there's no other comments or questions, then I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries. We will move on to new business. This is our first item is the Vail Pride Day wrap up. Form item, Mr. Good.
Thank you, President Pratt and members of the board. This is an inform item. We've previously put it in special announcement, but felt that probably better to just give it a little space on the regular calendar or other regular agenda as an inform item. So with that, I'll ask Mrs. Peggy Benson-Runyon to come forward. And wrap in Mr. Tate and wrap us up. Put a bow on the 27th Vail Pride Day.
Good evening, President Pratt, members of the board, and Superintendent Cruz. We would like to take a moment to share some highlights from this year's 27th Annual Vail Pride Day, held at the Pima County Fairgrounds. Often referred to as the Super Bowl for our district, Vail Pride Day celebrates our connections across the district and community and showcases our motto, where education is a community effort. Planning for this 3-day celebration begins shortly after the prior year's event ends and involves a committee of over 50 dedicated individuals, each helping to lift all the components essential to creating the magic that happens over the course of the 3 days. In addition to our committee, we have an exec team that works tirelessly to coordinate all of the many pieces necessary for this event to function both professionally and seamlessly. The Rockstar team includes Sarah Bates, Christopher Harms, Emily Sapala, Marie New, and Mark Tate. I would also like to recognize our facilities maintenance team led by Dakota Willems, along with our custodial staff led by Sean O'Daniel. In just a matter of a few days, they perform a total transformation of the fairgrounds, turning rustic barns into sophisticated art galleries and music auditoriums. And the numbers: 650 volunteers at Thursday's volunteer luncheon, 2,300 staff members at Friday's staff luncheon, and even more staff, students, families, and community members and business partners at Saturday's community event.
Special moments and shared smiles were a part of each day. On Thursday, the Conaway family and Re-Audit team were honored with a Board Community Award, and our volunteers were celebrated for the impact they make at our schools on a daily basis. On Friday, our staff enjoyed a high-energy celebration thanks to the generosity of partners like Steamy Concepts, Oro Auto, Tucson Appliance Company, Arby's, and Galaxy Theater. We also thank Living Branch Church for providing the much-loved phone booth experience for staff and volunteers throughout the week. Our community showed up on Saturday for a parade that was almost as long as the route itself. In fact, the beginning almost touched the end. Yeah. Kids performed in both music and special performances. They competed in Academic Jeopardy and Math Bowl. Student art was beautifully displayed, and there were numerous fun STEM activities for families to engage in with their kids. Important also to recognize is the investment of 60 sponsors, 40 community groups, and 28 food trucks, all helping to cover the cost of bringing our community together. Their partnership with our district are priceless and help make Vail Pride Day possible. In closing, on behalf of our executive team, thank you to all who made Vail Pride Day 2026 such a huge success. Some say best one yet.
Thank you.
Are there any comments? Anyone wishing to make any comments?
Well, I think you guys are maybe leaving too soon.
Yeah.
As I said in my board report, it was just a really amazing, beautiful day. Did I miss, did we say the number of people that we thought attended on Saturday?
We don't have exact numbers yet. President Pratt, members of the board, and Superintendent Cruz.
Yeah, the by all thumbnail estimates so far, it was at least as well attended as the last year, which was 15,000. We think it's probably going to exceed that number.
So now the fairgrounds saved us the second largest event at the fairgrounds next to the fair itself.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Bail comes out in force. That is outstanding. Second to opening up the entire Pima County Fairgrounds to everybody in the county, outside of the county, and we're number 2. How awesome is that?
So now we need to be number 1.
No.
This is the spot I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
Just clarifying.
Any other comments or questions? Mr. Griggs?
I simply want to say, Mrs. Runyon did a debrief with our leadership team today, and looking at the table that I was doing a debrief with, and I know, so it's principals and directors, and pretty much everybody at that table gave significant time to leaning in to make Vail Pride Day happen. Whether it was interviews for Teacher of the Year, or volunteering on the committees, or showing up to do whatever the thing is. And that is a ripple effect across our staff, certainly led by the executive committee, and Mrs. Runyon, Mrs. Stow, and others as they lead that. I had left Vail Pride Day for about 2 hours in the middle of the day to present at a Greater Tucson leadership group on a superintendent's panel, and 2 of my colleagues were there, and were, "Where are you coming from?" You know, and I was telling them, and "Oh, that sounds like a lot of work," and it is a lot of work. It's a tremendous amount of work, and I know post event, it's post event and pre rodeo. There's a lot of tiredness that's associated with that. As I explained to our staff in the Spark, it's an extraordinary event, and I love working with a group of people who strive to be extraordinary, who strive to do extraordinary things. And you cannot be extraordinary by doing ordinary things. You just cannot. And so it is really critical that we show our community living value of what education, this community effort looks like, and do so in a way that shows in our pride and our most cherished community gift of our children. And so I just don't want to lose that. It's easy to lose that as we get big. It's easy to get lost in the work that it requires to do that. And we certainly need to continue to be mindful of the balance of what we're asking people to do, and how can we trim and be more efficient, and how can we adjust time with continuing that tradition. I'm not saying it needs to, because it's this, it needs to be, we need to be number 1 at the fairgrounds, as an example. But how are we doing that in a way that honors it? And so I know it's an inform item, but it's a huge piece of who we are as a community and as a culture of organization. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Groove. And I just want to say thank you as well. Just what an incredible 3 days. I left on Saturday feeling like, okay, this is just re-emphasizing that I am an extrovert. After 3 days of like thousands of people, I was like, okay, this is amazing. I love it. I'm so energized. So
I went home and didn't want to talk to anybody.
So funny. So thank you. Anyway, thank you so much for all your hard work.
It's peopled out.
Our next item is the bond and override exploration. This is a study item, Mr. Cruz.
Thank you, President Pratt and members of the board. I just want to take a moment. We have studied both of these things in study sessions, just kind of where we are with our current override and our current bond, and where we're beginning to explore what that would look like to reauthorize an override election and maybe call for an additional bond, and what are the needs around those things. So I just wanted to put this on the agenda as a study item and go through not in great detail about what necessarily, but just more of the process of the evaluation as we're exploring that. So I'm going to go to a quick presentation, pop through some slides. First of all, I just want to acknowledge that every year by statute and every year we do, when we have something that is approved by the voters, in this case, a budget and maintenance and operation budget override and bond funds, we are required to, and we do provide an update, public update via a board item. And we did that on the October 28th board meeting. So what I just want to review kind of where we are in regard to that, but the bigger piece is just an overview of defining the process, examine what's coming and why. So we have been operating on a maintenance and operation override in the Vail School District since 1993, some form of that. The statutes changed a little bit, but now that must be required to be reauthorized by voters every 5 years, or it begins to phase out in thirds for the next 3 years. So we are on a 12.5% budget override, which simply means that by statute, the budget limit that we can spend to as a school district is determined by the number of students that we have and their weighted average daily membership amounts. And so what that means basically is we have students, the number of students and the number of funds that they generate by statute provides a budget limit for us. And the limits are a little bit different district to district across Arizona. And so ours, frankly, is a little bit less because of combination of those students and some other factors. And so we're a little bit lower. But our community, we've asked for, and our community has supported a 12.5% override, which allows us to take that budget limit and increase it by 12.5%. That's paid back via secondary property taxes. And so what do we do that? What do we use those programs for? They're aligned on this slide. They support people who in programs that successfully achievement. They keep class sizes smaller than they otherwise would be. They continue programs for academically advanced and gifted students. They provide art, music, PE teachers, and they originally, when this was passed, it would be 10 years ago now, 12.5%, 2.5% pay for all staff that are not administrators. That amount has been capped at about, so the actual amount as it is applied to those that apply that qualify for that. So non-administrators is about a 1.5%. This year, that override generates and allows us the additional budget of about just under $14 million. In practice, what that means, as I mentioned, some version has been in place since 1993. It must be reauthorized every 5 years or it phases out. We're at 12.5%. The current amount, besides the salary amount, supports salaries and positions for 172 teachers, which is roughly 20% of our teaching staff. And if it's not reauthorized in November 26, it'll begin to phase out for that would be the FY 28 school year. Next year will be the FY 27 school year. So that's the override, and just the continuation of why are we exploring is a base big overview. Okay. A bond is we have asked our community to support capital bonds to do a number of different areas: growth, renovation and repair, health and safety, equipment, technology were the main categories for the last bond that we sold, that we asked for in 2018. Those bonds were sold in, it was just under $61 million bond that was approved. And those bonds were sold in 3 sales. The first one was in 19, the next one was in 20, and the other one was, oh, it's dated on here, but I think it was last year for the Sorrel Creek project. But what have we done with that? We told the community we were going to do these things, and we have done them. Technology, we built out a complete fiber optic network for our school district. So we have incredibly fast and robust internet that will be available to us and save taxpayers really a boatload of money because we own that network now. New school construction, we built Micah Mountain High School. We did some expansion in Andrada. We added Micah Mountain VIP for preschool space, and we began the design process for Sorrel Creek. Health and safety repairs, we replaced the library at Old Vale Middle School. We repaired a whole bunch of restrooms and restrooms there as well. We replaced their fire panel, damaged and ripped flooring across the school district. We purchased some maintenance equipment. We purchased buses, $2 million in buses. Again, the fiber optic network, we expanded the mechanic shop, the transportation. That was just the first sale. The second sale was in April 21, added the second phase of funding for Micah Mountain, completed the expansion at Vale Academy and High School for the K-5 side, and did a library renovation at Desert Sky. Also some pre-planning dollars were associated with Sorrel Creek. Repaired portable classrooms at Old Vale, more flooring, more buses and district vehicles, and more funding for the mechanics shop expansion. And then the third sale was in April of 24, so just shy of 2 years ago. That was $8.6 million. All of those dollars were utilized in the design, development, and construction of Sorrel Creek. So of the 61, short version of that, of the $61 million or just shy, we have used those funds as intended for our community. So short version is we no longer have any additional capital bond dollars available to do future projects and future needs. What we want to do and what we have been doing, at least administratively, is gathering information about what capital needs we have across the district, and in particular what those needs look like over the next, I would say, 2 to 7, maybe 8 years, which would be a time frame that we would look to, if we asked for a bond, that we would look to sell those bonds and do things. They would need to address growth. We're still growing, but at what pace are we growing, and when do we need new school facilities? Those are things that we want to explore. Safety and security, and health and safety, like it was, is a real big issue for us. As an example of that, we just built Sorrel Creek and Micah Mountain. What they have in some of their safety features, especially some of their entrance features, are more significant than what we have at some of our older schools. Renovation and repair, we have buildings that are older now. And as an example, just things like purchasing desks and upgrading student desks and equipment at Cienega High School will cost $1 million. And that school is 25 years old, A school. And then updating learning environments. What are we doing to imagine and change some spaces? Maybe things around career technical education, reimagining some spaces that have been used in different ways but need to be updated, and then equipment. again, transportation, those kinds of things, maintenance equipment. So those are all things that we're exploring. We have needs for. What I would say, and I think we've said, I've said here before, we receive about $10 million annually from the state for capital dollars. And that's to use for any capital item. We have 23 schools, about 26 different buildings that we need to cover with that. And of that $10 million, about a third of it is eaten up with technology licensing fees. And then another big chunk purchasing computers and student devices and devices for staff. So a big chunk of it is there. And then we have to purchase other things out of that as well. So our ability to do renovation and repair and safety and security pieces, we're kind of pecking at. We designate, $1 to maybe $3 million a year out of that budget. So we can do some of those things, but it's a slow drip on how we do that. So we just need to explore with what are we doing and what might that look like, and very critically, if we ask those things, what impact would that be to taxpayers? All of us live here. I think all of us are homeowners, myself included, in the Vail School District, and we're very mindful of what an impact that might be if we ask those questions. What we're kind of looking at as a process over the next several months, I've asked a bond or an override exploratory committee to meet. We've got roughly 50 people, probably a few more, because I'm going to continue to shake the tree over the next few days to help us, to help me. I want to be very clear, this is an administrative committee. Their intent is I want to provide them this information and help me explore what to do so that I can inform you. It's not a board committee. Obviously, we'll keep the board informed of what that looks like, but we'll be clear about what that kind of distinction looks like. The committee will meet March through April, probably early April timeframe, as we develop recommendations and they wrestle with that information. We're engaged in doing some professional polling, working with a polling firm to ask this question of a sample of likely voters, what they might think, to help us give some feedback around that. We're in the process of vetting questions with them and hope to have that information back by the end of March. Very late end would be early April on the polling. And then depending upon where we go from where the committee begins to lean, we can certainly ask them and we'll ask our community for more input about what the kind of the refined thinking is. But kind of until we get a better ask, I would say, and better input, that asking, I don't want to confuse the community with something that we're not intending to do yet. So we're kind of narrowing some packages down. So I think once we do that, then we can get more input from the community in April and May. The board would need to make decisions to call an election no later than the end of June. Sooner would be better, just to be able to signal kind of where we're moving, but that's where we are. So we do some of those things in May and June, and obviously if we do it sooner, we'll do it sooner. So I think there's really three critical things to consider. One, do we ask the community to vote on reauthorizing an override election, which would be a continuation of the current property tax that's paying that now? So it wouldn't be something new. It would be a continuation. Do we ask the community to, do we have the needs? And is there a reasonable ask for our community to support capital bond dollars for projects associated with the things that I discussed earlier? Do we ask both of those questions in November of 26? Do we ask one of those questions in November of 26? Do we ask none of those questions in 26? So those are that's kind of I would say, process by where we are, and I just want to, there's nothing, yeah, that's the process of where we are, so we're in that exploration phase. So with that, happy to answer any questions. And also, this is a study item, so we can bring it back as a study at any point. Keep the board and people who watch the board meetings informed of this, but we'll be doing that along the way as well as other meetings also. So.
Thank you, Mr. Griff. Are there any comments or questions? Mr. Pitt?
Yeah, thank you for kind of covering both of those topics, and really appreciate the process of engaging the community in looking at what the district may be struggling with, and making some recommendations that we can take into account as we as an organization wrestle with some of those decision making. I think, both of these things are things that I'm concerned about from, a community tax burden standpoint, as well as ensuring that we have access to high quality education, high quality facilities for the students in our community, the children in our community. So those are contraries to be proven, and just grateful for the process to be diligent and thoughtful.
Thank you, Mr. Pitt. Any other comments or questions? No. Thank you so much for the opportunity to inform the public. I know that we've been talking about it a little bit, and then thank you for that timeline. I think that's really helpful for everyone. If there's no other comments or questions, we will move on to item C, ASBA policy advisories 959 to 960. This is a study, I think.
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. Very similar. This is chunking through the ASBA policy advisories regarding language cleanup. Previous one was C, this one's D. This has to do with some purchasing requirements in language. So happy, again, substantively, not changes, just alignment with what's in there. Happy to answer any questions. It's a study item.
Are there any comments or questions? No? All right. If not, we will move to adjournment. I recommend that we adjourn the meeting at 8:29. Do I have a motion to approve?
You have a motion to approve.
Okay, we have Mr. Buster and Mr. King, I think. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Oh, I have a list too.